Welcome to a narrated discovery. Today we journey into the heart of Austria, a land where towering peaks meet still lakes, where past and present interlace through alpine villages, imperial echoes, and pristine wilderness. But this is not a story of travel. It is a pause, a gentle immersion, an invitation to slow down and see. Austria is often pictured through snow globes and postcard towns, but beneath the charm lies a country layered with geology, music, resilience, and wilderness. Here, nature doesn't just exist, it composes. From the songbirds of the alpine meadows to the underground silence of salt caverns, everything here holds a rhythm. As we walk through these 10 chapters, you'll discover not only breathtaking landscapes, but also marmots calling across valleys, glacial lakes that record the climate's memory, and hidden ruins that hum with forgotten empires. You'll see what's visible and feel what's not. So breathe with the forests, listen to the stone, and drift gently through Austria's quiet layers. This is not a sightseeing tour. It is a rediscovery. Let's begin. In Austria, the forest is more than trees. It is memory rooted in silence, shaped by stone and season. Especially in the high valleys of the Gosausee National Park, nature is not framed by human touch. It reigns in full scale. Here, cliffs of gray limestone rise like frozen waves above dense spruce woods. Beneath them, the Enns River cuts through the mountain with a restless force, feeding moss-lined banks and echoing across deep gorges. In the morning, the air is damp with alpine dew. Pine needles glisten under thin shafts of sun that filter through the trees. You hear water before you see it, rivulets falling from unseen rocks, a reminder that gravity is the quiet architect of this land. Further south, in Carinthia, the forest light shifts again. The trees grow broader, and deciduous leaves shimmer gold in autumn. In places like the Gailtal Alps, you walk among old beeches and wild orchids, their cycles shaped by mountain wind and snowfall. Above the timberline, everything changes. Silence sharpens. The sound of a marmot's whistle carries for miles. You may spot chamois dancing along scree slopes, almost ghost-like in their confidence. Even time feels different here. Tree rings in these alpine forests record not just age, but hardship, droughts, storms, and slow renewals. In Austria's woodlands, you don't simply walk. You descend into a breathing archive of earth. Austria's wildlife is not loud. It is precise, seasonal, and deeply entwined with the land. It speaks through gestures, a rustle in tall grass, a ripple in a mountain stream, the sudden pause of birdsong. In the alpine zones of Hohe Tauern, you might glimpse the alpine ibex, its horns curve like ancient scrolls, balanced with impossible ease on rock walls that shatter the horizon. These animals were once nearly gone, hunted to rarity, but today they roam again, thanks to conservation that listens instead of conquers. Lower down, the Eurasian lynx steps softly through the forests of the Kalkalpen. You won't see it, almost no one does, but its presence is known. Tracks in snow, the silence of prey, the eyes of hunters that know they are being watched in return. These cats, reintroduced after a century of absence, have reclaimed silence as territory. In fields and riverlands, the world turns lighter. The European beaver reshapes riverbanks with quiet persistence, building habitats that serve not only themselves, but whole ecosystems. In the Danube frogs, dragonflies, and water birds thrive thanks to the slow, industrious rhythm of these shy architects. Above, Austria's skies hold stories too. The bearded vulture, once extinct in the wild, now drifts again over Tyrolean cliffs, wings stretching nearly 3 meters wide. It feeds on bone, soaring where others fear to rise. To witness wildlife here is not to watch a performance. It is to feel part of a land that continues to balance delicately between wild and cultivated, between seen and unseen. Austria's cultural rhythm pulses through cathedrals and concert halls, but also across wooden balconies, market stalls, and mountain trails. It is not just composed, it is lived. In Salzburg, music hovers in the air like mist. The birthplace of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart still rings with strings and symphonies, not only in formal theaters but in cafes and street corners, where classical notes blur with bird song and the hum of daily life. The Salzburger Festspiele, held each summer, transforms the city into a living stage where Baroque architecture becomes backdrop to voices that carry centuries. Beyond the cities, Austria's culture steps down from marble and slips into wool. In villages throughout Styria, Carinthia, and the Salzkammergut, old traditions are stitched into everyday clothes, bread, and rhythm. Local dialects blend with yodels in the Alps, where farmers still bring cattle down from high pastures in seasonal Almabtriebe, decorated with flowers and cowbells, marking the end of summer in color and clang. Craftsmanship runs deep here. In Hallstatt, salt has been carved from the mountains since the Bronze Age. The process has modernized, but the reverence for slow, skilled work remains. Potters in Gmunden, luthiers in Mittersill, and glassmakers in Rattenberg shape legacy with their hands. Austria's culture is layered. Imperial grandeur in Vienna's Schönbrunn Palace, rural folklore echoing in alpine valleys, and modern minimalism in galleries and architecture. It shifts with the seasons, yet it holds firm, anchored by the belief that beauty should not be rushed, and heritage should not be forgotten. To experience Austrian culture is not just to observe, it is to join a conversation across time. Austria's history doesn't shout, it stands. In arches, fortresses, and forgotten paths winding through time-worn stone. To walk through this land is to step across shifting sovereignties and layered memory. Long before the Habsburgs, Celtic tribes roamed these valleys. The salt mines of Hallstatt gave rise to one of Europe's earliest cultures. Long before Rome carved its roads through Carnuntum, a city once bustling with legionnaires, merchants, and Mithraic shrines. Today, its ruins whisper under the grass, their scales still monumental under open skies. Medieval Austria built upward, castles like Burg Kreuzenstein or Hohenwerfen, perched high above rivers, their towers both watchful and defensive. Each stone tells of sieges, loyalties, and shifting power. The Melk Abbey, in contrast, crowned with gold above the Danube, became a symbol of monastic knowledge and spiritual endurance. Its library, a sanctuary of centuries. Yet no name echoes louder than the Habsburgs. Their imperial grip shaped Central Europe for over 6 centuries. In Vienna, their legacy remains carved into facades, horse-drawn echoes across Hofburg Palace, and mirrored ceilings in the Schönbrunn Gloriette. but power faded. After war, dissolution, and shifting borders, Austria emerged as a republic with echoes of a monarchy still humming beneath the surface. The 20th century left deeper shadows. The annexation by Nazi Germany, the devastation of war, and the quiet rebuilding that followed have left layers of remembrance that are not always spoken, but still deeply felt. Places like the Mauthausen Memorial ensure that even the darkest stones are not forgotten. Austria's history is not linear. It is a circle of rise and renewal, empire and earth, pride and reflection. And even now, the stones remember. In the early hours at Gosausee, the line between water and sky dissolves. Mountains rise in silence, mirrored perfectly on the lake's surface, so clearly that looking down feels like looking up. It is one of those rare places where stillness becomes architecture. The Dachstein Glacier, ancient and retreating, looms in the background, its white edges tinged with rose as the sun breaks. Below, alpine meadows drip with dew. A heron stands at the water's edge, waiting, watching, its reflection as still as the bird itself. This lake is no secret. Hikers walk its path, and photographers come at dawn. Yet, when you stand here, truly stand, time softens. You feel as if the landscape is not a scene but a message, an old one that says, "Look again, the world is more than surface." In Austria, this moment repeats in different forms. A candle flickering in a village chapel, a snowfall that mutes the whole valley, a gust of wind that carries yodels between cliffs. Each instance reminds you, not all symbols are carved. Some are made of water, light, and silence. And though the glacier shrinks year by year, it leaves more than melt, it leaves meaning. The Gosausee reflects not only the Dachstein, but our gaze, our urgency, our place in something vaster than ourselves. Sometimes, the most sacred places have no roof, only sky, mirrored in water. Austria is a land of layers: sediment, snow, silence. Nowhere is this more visible than in the geological wonders beneath and above ground. In the Eisriesenwald, near Werfen, you step into the world's largest ice cave. Inside, silence reigns, not the silence of absence, but of presence, still and ancient. Massive frozen formations glisten in soft torchlight, carved slowly by the breath of the mountain. Each step feels like entering the lungs of the earth itself. Even here, ice is alive, moving imperceptibly, groaning in its sleep. Above ground, the Hohe Tauern National Park stretches across the eastern Alps, with peaks soaring beyond 3,000 meters. It is home to Austria's largest glacier, the Pestersee, which now recedes with each passing season. What was once a frozen highway through the mountains has become a chronicle of climate change, recording the loss in creaking silence. But nature here also adapts. Rare alpine plants bloom in the thin soils exposed by the glacier's retreat. The landscape transforms, not always as we wish, but always in motion. Even the smallest lichens on newly revealed rock are part of this grand rebalancing. In Lunzersee, Austria's only natural lake with a preserved floating peat island, the ecosystem floats, literally, like a memory refusing to sink. The bog pulses gently on the surface, a contradiction of fragility and persistence. Austria's nature does not roar. It breathes. Through ice, through erosion, through seasons that do not hurry. To walk through these places is to feel geological time brushing against your skin. In Austria, wild animals are not performers. They are survivors. They inhabit margins, migrate across borders, and often remain invisible to the casual hiker. But for those who wait, watch, and walk softly, the wilderness reveals itself in quiet signs. Deep in the northern limestone Alps, the elusive brown bear has left tracks again. Though extremely rare, occasional sightings and traces have stirred debate and wonder. Are they visitors from Slovenia, or remnants of an ancient population that never truly disappeared? Even more present, but no less mysterious, is the Eurasian eagle owl. With eyes like embers and wings silent as breath, it haunts cliffs and forests, nesting in crevices that see no light. Its call, low and resonant, once filled Austrian nights. Now it returns cautiously, one territory at a time. In the high pastures, you might meet the alpine salamander, jet black and motionless under rocks after rain. Unlike most amphibians, it gives birth to live young, already fully formed, skipping the aquatic stage altogether. Evolution tailored for altitude. Meanwhile, near wetlands and lowland rivers, Austria's otters have made a quiet comeback. In places like the March-Taya floodplains, they slip through reeds and currents, thriving where patience and protection have held. Every animal here tells a tale of balance between extinction and revival, fear and fascination. They are not only part of Austria's ecosystem, but part of its memory. Creatures that once defined the land and may still help shape its future. To see them is rare, but to know they're near is enough. At the edge of a high meadow in Tyrol, a single wooden bell tower stands. No church, no village, just the tower and the wind. Locals call it the Stummere Glockenturm, the silent bell tower. It's said that the bell was removed long ago, but its absence still echoes. Here, the symbolism is unspoken yet strong, a bell without a bell, a sound remembered rather than heard. Around it, wildflowers bloom in June, gentian, arnica, and alpine roses turning the hill into a painter's palette, a kestrel circles above. Beneath the structure, time lingers like mist in morning grass. In Austrian folklore, bells often marked both joy and warning. They rang for weddings and fire, for war and peace. They gathered people, they gave rhythm to rural life. But here, the absence of that chime says something else, that even silence can be a kind of memory. Pilgrims sometimes visit this site, not out of devotion, but for reflection. It is not marked on many maps, but it exists in many stories. Some say it guards a buried chapel, others say it stands so that the valley won't forget what it once meant to gather. The scene is quiet, yet it speaks of change, of things lost not through destruction, but through slow forgetting. And it reminds us that not all monuments are grand. Some are fragile, humble, and deeply rooted in place. As the wind moves through the tower's empty frame, it plays a melody only nature can hear. And so we leave Austria, not through airports or highways, but gently through memory. We have wandered through misty forests and frozen caverns, listened to marmots whistle from granite slopes, and watched silent towers speak of time. Austria has shown us that the most enduring beauty is not loud, not immediate, but patient, intricate, and alive. Thank you for joining us on this quiet journey. If this story brought you peace, curiosity, or knowledge, we invite you to like, comment, or subscribe. Every voice helps us keep these journeys alive. Until next time, wherever the trail may lead, stay curious, stay healthy,